So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Fairy Tail Girl. So let's start the series. With a sigh, Makarov sat at his desk and gazed up at the ceiling, as his thoughts drifted to the events of the previous month. The occupations that were accessible in and around this small town of terror were reduced in half. It seemed as though there was a guild there, but in reality, neither a guild nor a dense forest existed. According to a brief inquiry sent by the Wizard Council, the forest appeared overnight, along with a large number of mages, who claimed to be members of a guild known as Hyde Ninja Village. Their headband, which featured a leaf that resembled a tribal design, was the only indication that they were from Hyde Ninja Village. According to those who made these claims, the wizards were almost overly protective while also being saints, much like Fairy Tail. The old mage's mind grew more profound. Another legend was a Hyde Ninja Village mage who bore a striking resemblance to Natsu. Their attire and the fact that Natsu is a boy and the look-alike is a female were the only differences. It seems that this girl was a healing wizard with superhuman power, rather than a dragon slayer. The fact that Natsu has no family and that this girl, known as the Cherry Blossom Salamander, was in a dark guild and thought to be the salamander's long-lost sister, was one of the things that Makarov was most concerned about. The master wasn't happy about this, and it made his stomach turn. Natsu would search for her if he learned of this, even if it meant using his bare hands to rip up the Hyde Ninja Village. The Fire Dragon Slayer has spent a significant portion of his life alone, so the possibility that he has a sister would both shock and agitate him. The Wizard Council, Makarov, and the other guild heads are the only ones currently aware of this rumor. Although it would be better if he didn't, the Fairy Tail Guild Master knew that he should know. Though he couldn't even begin to imagine what Natsu may say, he could always try. He closed his eyes and let his thoughts run wild. Makarov turned to face Natsu, who was seated across the desk. Natsu, I have information about a rumor that has been going around this month. The young dragon slayer said, okay. But what does this have to do with me? Makarov inhaled deeply, attempting to brace himself for the possibility. The rumor tells of a girl that looks a lot like you. She has been dubbed as the Cherry Blossom Salamander due to her resemblance to you. Many believe that she might be your sister. Suddenly, Natsu exclaimed, what? Where is she? Now Nats, tell me. I need to see if this is true. She is with the Dark Guild, Hyde Ninja Village. In denial, Natsu exclaimed, no. That can't be true. But it is. With flames encircling his body, Salamander cried, then I guess I'll have to drag her out of that damn Dark Guild and have her join Fairy Tail. It's too dangerous. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll have Lucy, Urza, Gray and Happy with me. We can't lose. He then bounded out of the office. Makarov left the dangerous daydream. He sat up and concluded that telling the youngster anything that would kill him would not be appropriate. He picked up the whiskey from his desk and drank it. He had to learn more about the Hyde Ninja Village Guild. Why is it a dark guild if its members treat one another like family and are so protective of one another? No towns, cities, or villages were reported to have been harassed by the guild, nor were any deaths attributed to it. Not even a single report of mission failures or recklessness. The fact that they spend the majority of their money on food and medicine, however, was the most puzzling of all. He then examined his case file containing the guild's reports. Most of what it read was guesswork, hearsay, and theories. However, neither the number of members nor their names were mentioned. Hell, not even a guild photo was included. One aspect of it, though, is the way the members speak. They pronounce their last name before their first. Though it was difficult to comprehend, he ignored it and concentrated on the few known mages who belonged to the peculiar Dark Guild. Nar, a shadow ninja, possesses an unusual form of magic that is said to be either new or ancient, and gives him power over his shadow. He can make his opponents imitate his movements if his shadow hits them. According to legend, Shino Aburum possesses an odd kind of sorcery that enables him to manipulate insects. Although there are rumors that he has insects in his jacket, it has now been hypothesized that he and the bugs are in a symbiotic relationship, meaning that the bugs live inside of him, but that he has no wounds that would allow him to expel them. One of the main theories that resulted from this was that the bugs came from his pores. In any case, he can manipulate the insects and even turn them into shields and weapons. Shino's opponent is twice as hazardous because the bugs appear to be able to feed off of his magic energy. Niji Hyuga. It is said that he uses Wind or Sky magic, which allows him to momentarily neutralize any opponent he encounters. His magic is claimed to have effects that last anywhere from 24 hours to a week. It is also claimed that he can inflict internal harm on his adversaries. Sakura Haruno is well known for looking a lot like Natsu Dragneel. She is known as the Cherry Blossom Salamander because of her pink hair, green eyes, short fuse, and signature move, the Cherry Blossom Clash. She has a very enigmatic magic. She reportedly possesses superhuman strength and is skilled in close combat and healing. According to recent reports, she can split the ground into multiple pieces with a single blow, causing them to rise like stalagmites. However, it is unclear if she is a dragon slayer or if she is related to Natsu Dragneel. Kiba Inizuka. It is said that he has a dog-like sense of hearing and smell, which is comparable to a dragon slayer's. According to recent accounts, he has a huge dog named Akumare that follows him around. With the help of this dog, Kiba can do a spell he calls Fang over Fang, which transforms him and Akumare into white tornadoes capable of tearing through almost anything, even steel and stone. One can only image the damage they can do to human bone. Makarov sighed deeply and closed the file. If I keep this on my mind all day, I just might end up turning my hair even grayer than it already is. I'm sure there will be a time when I can tell the boy, but now is not the time at all. After finishing the whiskey, he walked downstairs to check on his family. They have been absent from the Hidden Leaf Village for a month now. The fifth headmaster couldn't handle the constant reminder. She would sit in her office and imagine how she, the headmaster of Team 6, Team Asuma, Team Kurenai, Team Guy, Yamato, and Sai could return home, but the truth was that she had no idea how. The Hokage had no choice but to hope. She hid it with some resolve and a drink of sake, but occasionally the worst-case scenario floods her mind. She was concerned, but she would never acknowledge it. She is becoming affected by the current circumstances. She let out a sigh and kicked her feet up onto the side of her desk. Numerous circumstances were present, including the need to rebuild the entirely devastated Hyde Ninja Village in Gakure. They are all at risk if they are not present, and the Hyde Ninja Village is destroyed, particularly in light of the impending war. There are groups of individuals known as mages and wizards, who congregate in places called wizards' guilds, in the area where she and the shinobi team she is now with are. They seem to employ a form of energy that they refer to as magic. More concerning, though, is the fact that they were turning into wizards themselves. As she considered the topic of magic, the fifth headmaster gazed out the window. Magic apparently deals with the energy from the world around the wizard, along with the energy from the spirit. Core energy deals purely with the energy from the spirit. Slowly the energy from this place is connecting with our core energy. She chewed her thumb and saw that the sixth headmaster's use of hand seals and spirit art has been decreasing. Heck, when he performs his fire style, fireball spirit art, he doesn't even require hand seals. With every day that goes by, it becomes more concerning. She recalled that the first time she and the others saw magic was when they woke up close to Terror. A flashback. The fifth headmaster looked at Yamato and asked, "Do you think you can do it?" They appeared to be in a village without any forests. If there were any shinobi present, they didn't want to interact with them or disturb the people. The best course of action seems to be to hide in a dense forest. Yamato remarked in distress, "Yeah, but I'll be out of core energy for a few days." Before he could complete the first few hand seals, a light chime and a green light with an odd circle with odd markings and pictures on it appeared beneath him. He focused on his core energy. Hinata and Niji turned on their Byakugan. There were thousands of rings with chimes, and more of the light circles emerged outside the unidentified village. All of a sudden, trees started to sprout, creating a dense forest with a building in the center. After the action was completed, the circles vanished. Yamato appeared healthy and unwary, but like everyone else, he was taken aback. Godot inquired, "What kind of spirit art was that?" I was going to use my wood style, dark forest and wood style, four-pillar house spirit art, but they just happened. I didn't even need finish the hand seals," Yamato replied. The fifth headmaster questioned, "Niji, Hinata, what did you see?" There was a strange energy that fused with Yamato-sensei's core energy. It seemed to be attracted to the use of it. Niji responded. Yes, once it fused with the core energy it formed the strange circles and light, then preformed the spirit art for him, remarked Hinata. They were all perplexed, but they needed to complete their investigation tomorrow. This was neither the time nor the place to worry about that. Shino halted as they all headed to the house that Yamato had built. Kiba said, "What's wrong, Shino?" "My bugs. They seem to be able to sense the energy that helped Yamato," Shino replied. "Really?" inquired the fifth headmaster. "Yes. They said because it's an energy, they are able to eat it. But strangely enough, this energy is everywhere, and is able to be accessed at any time. This energy is infinite," Shino replied while examining a beetle. The cage muttered, "An infinite energy, that confused with core energy, that's strange." She now understands that when magic is utilized, a circle known as a magic circle develops. She examined the reports that she had received from Niji and Shadow Ninja. According to the article, wizards have very little control over their core energy, whereas other people have more, but if they attempt to use more than they can, they risk dying. It was somewhat odd, but it clarifies a lot, including the reason for their sharp eyes and strength. The Hokage has been somewhat outmatched by Sakura's strength. 5 headmasters, however, had tripled. Everybody is stronger now. It was strange. Even the healing process has improved and become simpler. They moved some other papers on the desk when she threw the reports back, revealing a magazine. She gave it a quick glance before turning away. Sorcerer was the name of the publication. She picked it up and turned to the page that was giving her the most trouble. The words Mabuki had said to her during her first few days as a cage replayed in her head. "Go back in time." Mabuki bowed to the headmaster of the 5th. This woman was recognized by the Hokage as the mother of Haruno Sakura. The mother's words were a little wobbly, as though she had been crying, but she said, Lady Hokage, please forgive my intrusion, but I must ask something of you. What is it? Inquired the 5th headmaster. My son. He has been missing since the Nine Tails attack 13 years ago. The Jonin shed a tear standing next to her. He was only 9 months old at the time. Kazashi and I were helping the other shinobi protect the village. He was safe and sound in his crib. When it was all over, he was gone without a trace. His body was never found. Lord Third promised us that he'd do everything in his power to find him, but he is still missing. And now that he is gone, you want me to look for your son? Questioned the 5th Hokage, who understood what she was being asked to do. Please. Are you sure that your son is still alive? The mother knows. I know he is alive. What is his name? Sancho. 5th headmaster pondered out loud, Sancho, which is Japanese for salamander. As she dabbed at her tears, Nobuki remarked with a faint smile, he has pink hair. For some reason it made Kazashi and I think of salamanders. I see. I'm guessing that he'd be about 14 years old now. That is correct, he was born on the 9th of January. I'm not making any promises, but I'll do everything in my power to see about finding your son, said the 5th headmaster, nodding. Nobuki bowed and said, thank you Lady 5th headmaster. She turned to the page that had caused her so much distress. She muttered, a mother knows. It showed a 17-year-old boy with salmon hair, tan skin, black eyes, and a hairstyle that appeared to be identical to Sakura's. He bore a striking resemblance to Sakura, Kazashi, and Nobuki. The boy was named Natsu Dragneel, and is one of the Wizards Guild. Fairy Tail's 2 dragon slayers. Salamander is the moniker he goes by. The first time 5th headmaster read this magazine, Haruno Sancho sprang to mind. Here he is, however his name is Natsu rather than Sancho. She was aware that Sakura had been informed about Sancho by Nobuki and Kazashi, so she said, I need to give him and Sakura a blood test to see if he really is Sancho. She was uncertain about her student's reaction if she told her about Natsu. Without a doubt, she wouldn't charge into Fairy Tail. Still, though. In time. I'll tell her when the time comes. From the exterior of her office, there were screams. She raised her hand as though to grasp something and sat up. An RDO. Sakura cried out, clearly enraged. When Naruto rushed in the door, the cage grabbed him by the face. She moaned, what am I gonna do with you kids? Makarov glanced at his guild's wizards. In their own unique ways, they were all embracing the world and relishing life and magic. It was lovely. If someone were to take that away, he would get very angry. When he watched Gray toss Natsu across the room, he grinned. As he watched the sight, the ancient mage couldn't help but see a girl with pink hair giggling. He was starting to feel guilty. What's wrong, master? Urza caught his eye as he turned. Nothing. The stern mage insisted, Master, please tell me, I know something is bothering you. When she is upset about something, she never gives up. The reason for this was that he supported her while she was having problems. She believed that she ought to reciprocate him. He was aware that he couldn't avoid it. Come with me. Both of them entered his office. He started telling her about Sakura and Hyde Ninja Village. Urza was taken aback by the entire situation. I can't tell Natsu, he would just go charging off to Hyde Ninja Village to get her. What should I do? He questioned after completing his explanation. After sitting down, the young recruit mage suddenly realized, I don't know, master. May I see the files of Hyde Ninja Village? He gave the files to her. She looked them over carefully. What if you send him, myself and the rest of our team to do research on Hyde Ninja Village? Makarov's eyes widened. He understood her meaning. If we go and investigate Hyde Ninja Village in terror, Natsu will most likely meet Sakura, and they'll be able to talk it out. Urza, you're a genius, said he. As a result, they came up with a plan that would remain confidential. Then, like a flag in the breeze, the Fairy Queen left the chamber to put the plan into action. If all goes as planned, Makarov anticipated the Fire Dragon Slayer will acquire either a friend or blood relative. But there might be war if it doesn't. That is, if Hyde Ninja Village has a negative reaction. The other dark guilds had a negative reaction throughout their investigation. To find out, there was only one method. I'm hoping that things will work out well and end well. I hope that in the end, everything will be like a fairy tale, and that everyone will live happily ever after. The particular Uchiha gave the world his trademark death stare and huffed, are you sure everything will turn out as that plan of yours? The voice that said, I assure you Sasu Madara, I can speak for myself, was that of a person who was at least as young as the young Uchiha. The speaker, a tall boy with short black hair that turned gray at the tips, said, Naruto friend, I've lived many lives and I've seen many things. Everything will go as planned, He emerged from the cave's darkness. He wasn't in the Akatsuki, as evidenced by his peculiar attire. He was dressed simply in black trousers, dark gray shoes, and a gray t-shirt. There was a solitary unusual black pearl on his necklace. I'm sure you know Haruno Sakura, he said, his shark-toothed smile belying his simplicity. Yes, I know her, Fua. Nobody hissed, I used to be a part of her team, and a while back she tried to kill me. Fuwa smiled. Well, did she ever tell you that she has a brother, T? Naruto, but he was mute. He was still a baby at the time. I used him as a test subject and sent him to a completely different world, T. You can do that, cried Sujetsu. Yes. And that is where I sent the Hokage and her little posse, T. Fuwa cracked a grin. You see, in that other world, there is a certain place that I want gone. And in my plan that place shall come here and join the war, T. The only thing that the Taka and Naruto friend understood about that plan was that it showed the strongest members of Hyde Ninja Village going into temporary hiding, so that the village would be occupied while they searched for them. They will then be killed in the conflict when they return. Yugo inquired, and what is this place that you want gone? Its name is Fairy Tail. That place is the cause of my suffering, T. The kid said. I'm not gonna give you any details, but let's just say that someone close to my heart joined it and then turned against me, T. He started to levitate. Don't worry your pretty little heads about anything. Everything is under control, T. Fuwa was a boy of mystery. Nobody had any knowledge about him. Madara was the only one who knew anything about him, and he only knew that Fuwa was skilled in a peculiar form of spirit art that didn't require hand seals. Who are you, Fuwa, if that's all they knew about him? The train came to a halt. Urza had completed describing Hyde Ninja Village to Natsu and the others. By describing Kiba, Shino, and Shadow Ninja, as well as how they pronounced their last name before their first, she provided them with instances of dark magicians without mentioning Sakura. For a while, Natsu laughed about it, but then his motion sickness set in. They dispersed to search for information after getting off the train and finding a place to stay. On the opposite side of town was Urza. She saw that the residents of the town were content. They were going about their daily routines as usual. Dark guilds typically make people completely terrified of wizards. Not this one, though. She was on the other side of town when the 5th headmaster arrived. She had an old sorcerer magazine from last month, so she was reading the most recent one. She wanted to check for any information regarding Sanshao, or Natsu as he is now known. Almost nothing was there. A red-haired woman dubbed Urza Scarlet is reportedly his co-worker. She put the magazine in her pocket and started to leave the stand where she had purchased it, a little disappointed. Urza had heard that there was a magazine kiosk nearby. Perhaps the vendor could provide her with information. She passed a blonde woman who appeared to be in her mid-20s and had a blue diamond on her forehead as she made her way toward the stand. Urza sensed that the woman's magic was quite strong. But as she didn't want any difficulty, she chose to ignore it and continued to the stand. The young adolescent with blood-red hair was passed by the 5th headmaster. She was dressed in a dark blue skirt and an iron breastplate. She sensed that the teen's core energy was under fairly excellent control. The Hokage came to a complete halt. The teenager ignored her. Glancing back, she saw the teenager go. The 5th headmaster exhaled softly and asked, Scarlet Urza. It was not long before Teen Natsu reassembled at their motel. They sat down opposite one another. They were all wondering and dreading the possibilities surrounding the enigmatic Dark Guild, Hyde Ninja Village, and they were eager to learn what each other had discovered. Urza said, So, what did you all find? Well, according to the blacksmith, there is a Hyde Ninja Village mage by the name of Tenten, who goes there to get custom-made ninja stars and throwing knives. Gray continued, I asked him if he could give me some just to see what they look like and to show all of you, and he happily obliged. He took the weapons out of his pocket. Only 2 were present. One was a thin-handled, thick diamond-shaped knife with a round ring at the end, and the other was a 4-pointed star with a hole in the center. Even though the weapons were constructed of solid iron and were very heavy, they appeared to be very practical. This Tenten, whatever she is, has a distinct taste in weapons. Unexpectedly, Natsu ignored the weapons and didn't even comment on them. He simply gazed at the ground. He appeared distressed. Happy grabbed the ninja star after flying over to the 2 weapons. Look Natsu. It's pretty cool, huh? The cat exclaimed as it approached Natsu. No response. Natsu appeared to be completely lost. Happy scowled, replaced the ninja star, and then took off for Lucy. Lucy questioned, what's wrong with him? I don't know, he has been acting like that when he finished investigating the hospital. The blue cat let out a sigh. Urza inquired, you weren't with him? No, I lost him when I saw a big dog running towards me. He had this big bone in his mouth. And some guy said, come on Akumaru. 1 bite. Please. The dog was huge. For a moment I thought it might eat me. Happy was grumbling. When the coast was clear, I flew to the hospital, and that was when Natsu walked out of there. He's been quiet since. He hasn't said 1 word since he walked out of there. With a deep sigh, Gray remarked, whatever it is, it must be bad to get him this quiet. Grinning, he took a book Lucy had borrowed from the library and hurled it at Natsu's head, saying, I got an idea. Surprisingly, it struck its goal. The Ice Snake Wizard was scowled at by the Fire Dragon Slayer. The pink-haired mage's next move caught everyone off guard. Kiba triumphantly held up a big bone in his fist and exclaimed, got it. After chasing Akumaru around and engaging in the longest battle in their history, it took him nearly an hour to get the bone off of him, but the effort was well worth it. When they were playing tug-of-war with a lengthy chew toy last week, it had completely destroyed their argument. Akimaru was about to leap up and take the bone, but Kiba quickly put it in his mouth. Shino approached them and said, "Would the two of you quit acting like you're back at the academy? It's getting embarrassing." The stoic ninja was worn out from chasing after them and attempting to keep them out of danger. They had an incident when Kiba pushed Sakura over so badly that Sai referred to them as the pink puppy couple for 3 weeks, and no one wanted another one. The only silver lining was that Sai had laughed for the first time as a result of that occurrence. "Please try, sure no, but I'm not taking thirst bro nord of my mouth." Kiba snorted and turned away from his buddy while keeping the bone in his teeth. As Akimaru and Kiba fought again, Shino rolled his eyes. The sound of glass breaking and a sudden explosion were heard. He spotted someone descending from the sky when he looked up. The combat was instantly stopped as the individual landed on top of Akimaru and Kiba. As Akimaru whined, Kiba and the enigmatic youngster said, "Ow. You all okay?" inquired Shino. They all stood up. The boy abruptly glanced up at the building they were facing, which had a smashed window. "Just wait till I get back up there, you overgrown toaster oven. I'm gonna kick you straight to oblivion for this," he yelled at whoever was in the room with the damaged window. Without saying another word, the boy quickly fled the area and entered the hotel. Kiba took the bone in his fingers and cynically remarked, "That wasn't awkward at all." Akimaru was shocked as he quickly grabbed the bone and started to flee. "Damn it," Kiba exclaimed as he started to chase after the big dog. Shino palmed his face, alone now. He occasionally questions how he handled the two at all. Although the Onizuka clan was full of human dogs, he had thought of Kiba as a human dog. He started to wonder about the youngster who had been flung out the window. Whatever he was, they should get their garments back. Who strips off and then dashes around in just their boxers? He picked up the clothes and headed to the motel, sighing. He was always courteous, if a little too kind at times. Kindness, according to his mother, might occasionally result in friendship, benefits, or assistance during difficult times. He was only 4 years old when his mother died from a death blow sustained during a battle with a Rouge ninja, and it was one of the few things he could still recall about her. He questioned the woman behind the counter about who owned the garments and what room the individual was referring to. "Oh, the fairy tale wizards are staying in room 119, she remarked with a smile. As Shino made his way up the stairs and explored the hallways, he mused, "Fairy tale. Is it the name of a real wizard's guild?" When he finally located the room, he heard screams and fighting coming from behind the door. One way to find out. "Come at me, flame brain," was the boy's voice that he heard. "I will if you put some clothes on, you damn rejected snowman," said a voice he didn't recognize. "Damn it," cried the boy. Though Shino couldn't help but wonder at the odd comments, it somehow brought back memories of his time as a genin, when he would frequently witness Naruto and his companion arguing and taunting each other. However, it mostly reminded him of the confrontations between Sakura and Ino, where Sakura would call Ino Pig, and Ino would nickname Sakura Billboard Brow. Shino would occasionally consider getting involved, but he always chose to remain out of it. Shino sighed and rapped on the door. Slowly, someone unlocked it. The girl appeared to be around his age, with long blonde hair and sparkling blue eyes. She resembled Naruto's sexy spirit art makeover, if anything, although she was far more respectable. It was clear by the way her right eyebrow was moving and the expression on her face that things were becoming serious. Shino held out the blue and white garments and remarked, "I think that someone lost these." "Ray," called the girl. In response, the child who had just fallen out of the window approached the door. Shino thought, so that's his name. "Oh, thanks," Gray murmured, taking the clothing slowly. "Abiram Shino." Gray Fullbuster. Everyone in the room grew a little suspicious and disturbed about him, and it was obvious. He was left wondering why. The pink-haired boy in the room suddenly made an attempt to harm Gray. Since a magician cannot use magic without core energy, Shino instantly covered the boy's arms and legs with his bugs and fed off of his energy. The boy's fists were blazing so hot that Shino was powerless to stop him. Else, Gray would have needed a professional medical nin. Abruptly, millions of bugs covered Natsu's body. It was horrible. He sensed that they were consuming his magic. The flames on his palms vanished into thin air. "I don't think that it would be fair for you to attack someone who is occupied," Shino stated frankly. The black mage appeared emotionless, especially with flames that hot. At that point, the fairy tale wizards realized that Shino was, in fact, the same Shino they had read about in the Hyde Ninja Village reports. With a slight sigh, the black mage stated, "I don't know why you and Gray are fighting, nor do I want to know, but I doubt it's worth the two of you tearing this hotel down, or putting one another in the hospital." The bugs gradually moved to Shino from the Dragon Slayer's body. In one large black cloud, the bugs all almost went up the Dark Wizard's sleeves. A loud POMF sounded as Natsu crashed to the carpeted floor. The black magician departed after saying, "I apologize for intrusion. I better find my friend, I have a feeling that he is causing a lot of trouble." When Shino departed the motel, he left one female beetle in the room, more precisely, on the blue cat's back. He suspected that they might all require his assistance. He was really careful. However, he was opposed to putting one of the wizards in that room on life support. He felt as though he could need their assistance, but he was certainly being too polite. Happy embraced the celestial mage and exclaimed, "Lucy, I'm scared." "What was that?" inquired Lucy. Everyone's eyes were on Natsu, who lay on the ground, weary. They witnessed something defiantly chilling because of him. From where did those bugs originate? They went where? How could they make someone so full of life feel so worn out that he would simply collapse to the ground? "You, okay?" inquired Gray. In between breaths, Natsu murmured, "Yeah. Next time. I'm throwing you out the door. Instead of the window." "What's wrong with you? You've been so silent after gathering information about Hyde Ninja villagers," responded. "You haven't even told us what you found out." After a little period of silence, Natsu said, "It's because I was thinking about my time with Ignil." Gray questioned, "What does that have to do with anything?" "Because when I asked the nurses if they knew anything about Hyde Ninja Village, they asked me, 'Why do you need to ask us? Isn't your sister, Sakura, a part of the guild?'" Even though he had only been with Gray and the other fairy tale mages for a short while, Shino froze in place when he noticed that the same beetle was flying directly in front of him. To allow her to land on it, he extended a finger. Words of startling news soon started to leak. Shino muttered beneath his breath, "Shit." As he hurried back into the jungle to the makeshift residence, he let the bug to reinfest him. "Time flies by." "What?" exclaimed the fifth headmaster. "You're telling me that a wizard's guild is investigating us?" The Hokage could see Shino's brown eyes when his spectacles dropped from the bridge of his nose. Without delay, he replaced the sunglasses. "Why yes, Lady Hokage, that is what my beetle told me." She also said that one of the wizards, one that goes by the name of Natsu, had talked to some of the nurses of Terra. They had asked him if Sakura was his sister. She collapsed back in her seat. "Damn it. Today is not my day." He said, "What's wrong? Can you keep a secret? Is my family very stoic?" "Good one." The fifth headmaster sighed and started to inform the young Chunin about the actual circumstances. Her words, "I don't know what I'm gonna do. If Natsu is Sanshao, then that means he is not even supposed to be here. And how is Sakura gonna react? Or Fairy Tail? How's he going to react? He thinks that we're the bad guys. Not only that, with the fight that happened between Nichi and some dark mage. This is not going to end well." She took a large bottle of whiskey out of a drawer on her desk, opened it, and took a big swig, demonstrating how stressed she was. After giving it some thought, Shino examined the magazine that the fifth headmaster had shown him, which featured the youngster who had attempted to harm Gray. "You're right, I too think that this could cause a lot of trouble. Would you like me to send some of my insects out into Terra and use them to spy on the wizards?" She furrowed her eyebrows. "As long as they report to you anything that would be of importance, and you must report to me their findings." "Of course." Then Shino walked away, letting the Hokage think on her own. She would only get a little reprieve from the bugs, but it's better than nothing at all. It was quite unlikely that anyone would ever ask Shino anything because he wasn't a particularly talkative person. But if Natsu is Sakura's parents' lost son, how would they respond to the news? Time skip. Shino and the Hyde Ninja Village wizards had not been seen for a week. They seemed to have never been there. Everyone was bored and there was little information available. Urza was in the gun store, Lucy was at the library, and Natsu, Happy, and Gray were. Together, they strolled around Terre. Urza would murder them if they fought again, but the two rivals considered doing so. At the town's markets, they passed large throngs of people. Gray recognized Shino as he noticed a hooded teenager in the distance. "Hey Shino," said Gray as he hurried to the figure. With a glance at Happy, Natsu, and Gray, the hooded teenager said, "Oh, morning Gray." "Shino, this is Natsu and Happy," Gray introduced. Shino glanced at the cat and dragon slayer. "Nice to meet you." Likewise," stumbled Natsu. Listen, Shino, I was wondering, what kind of magic do you use?" Gray responded. Shino took a moment to think. "It's complicated. My kind of magic runs in my clan. Unlike other clans, every member of the Aburum clan is in a symbiosis with an insect. When a child is born into our clan, they will be offered to a special breed of insects as a nest. Some members of my clan poses extremely venomous insects. These insects can only be in a symbiosis with those who poses a certain type of magic." The two wizards from Fairy Tail felt a little uneasy. How is such a thing ever possible? Happy questioned, "So, you're like a walking beehive?" Shino fixed the cat with his gaze. "Basically. Actually there's a clan that is like mine that use bees." Natsu remarked, "That sounds like a harsh life." The dark mage remarked, "Not really, when you grow up like this, it becomes normal to you." He recognized the Pinket's difficulties. "Are you alright?" The dragon slayer lied and said, "Oh, I'm fine." "Whatever you say." Shino murmured, "So what kind of mages are the two of you?" "I'm an ice mage. I'm a fire dragon slayer." "I see. Stoke much?" Gray wondered, "So, why did you join a dark guild?" "Insect mage." Dark Guild, what do you mean? The small blue cat answered joyfully, he means why did you join the Dark Guild? Hide Ninja Village. Oh, Hide Ninja Village isn't a Dark Guild. Shino replied. Natsu yelled, what do you mean it's not a Dark Guild? I meant what I said, Hide Ninja Village is not a Dark Guild. What did the Dark Mage mean by all of this? The fairy tale mages wondered. Gray questioned, if it isn't a Dark Guild then what is it? Hide Ninja Village is slang for Hide Ninja Village Gakure, which means hey Shino. Someone shouted Shino's name, interrupting him. The cat and the three lads turned to face the caller. It was a big lad who neither didn't pay attention to his weight or was determined to outshine Riitas in stature. His hair was long, spiky, and brown. He was dressed in black and red. His armor was plated in gray as well. His cheeks were smeared with red. In contrast to Shino, he donned a crimson Hide Ninja Village headband. The big teenager hurried to join the group. Shino said, oh, Choji, what's going on? Choji clarified, Lady Fifth Headmaster has summoned you. Really? What for? Said the insect mage. She didn't say, but whatever it is it must be important, the big teenager replied. She has been upset all day, so I'm guessing she needs you for something. Can we come? Inquired Gray. I'm kinda curious about this guild of yours. Natsu responded, yeah, so am I. Shino. They're wizards from the Wizards Guild. Fairy tale. Shino clarified. Oh? Choji glanced at the two wizards, I don't think it would be a good idea. Fifth Headmaster is already stressed as it is, I'm sure that she wouldn't like it if the two of you would suddenly walk into her office. Not to mention the two of you don't look like you're ready to go to your own funerals. Natsu inquired, what do you mean by that? Well, Lady Fifth Headmaster is stressed. She had an extremely short temper. Shino murmured, even the slightest cough could get you literally flying out of the building. I remember once a guy named Sora insulted her, to this day he is still terrified of her. No kidding, he wasn't even in her office for half a second, and he was sent flying through her door and into a wall. Choji gasped. Natsu exclaimed, damn. Gray complimented, ouch. On second thought, we'll just stay here. Happy said, In the meantime. On her way to the town's weapons store, Urza strolled joyfully through Terre. She wanted to see for herself, but she had heard that the store offered excellent weaponry. She opened the door and entered as the bell sounded. She started looking at the weapons right away and soon discovered a pretty unusual sword. Both the handle and the blade were narrow. The blade itself was somewhat long enough to be slung over the back, but still manageable in terms of length. The voice said, I'm assuming you're also interested in that sword. She noticed a man behind her who appeared to be older than she was, but his dark blue mask obscured his face. His left eye was concealed by the tilt of his Hide Ninja Village headband. The only exposed portion of his face was his right eye. After gathering her thoughts, she said, yes. It is a very interesting sword. I've never seen one like it. Why? Do you also have an interest in this sword? How did he? I didn't even sense his prescience. Yes, actually, it's reminiscent to the sword I had when I was about your age. He replied. He picked up the sword gently, and to his surprise, he applied magic to the blade, causing it to shine and spark like lightning. He halted the magic flow and then grasped the weapon by the blade, saying, like I thought, it even compatible with my magic. Want to give it a try? He asked. He was surprisingly courteous, saying, I can't, unlike you, I'm a re-equipped mage. A re-equipped mage used their magic to summon weapons and armor. Oh? Curiosity getting the better of her, Urza inquired, what kind of wizard are you? He swung the sword correctly and remarked, I suppose you could call me a copycat mage. Copycat? What can I say, I only have a few spells in my arsenal that are actually mine. There was nothing that could enable someone to copy magic, so she couldn't help but wonder what the dark mage was referring about. Or did it exist? How is this any different from the time she saw a dark mage manipulate insects like puppets? My name is Urza Scarlet. Patrick Sixth Headmaster. He grinned. It's an honor to meet the famed fairy queen of fairy tale. She replied with a grin, I'm guessing you've already figured out why I'm here in Terre. You made it too easy. He said, you're here to investigate us. The master will not approve of this at all, she said with a sorrowful nod. Well, I'm actually here not only for the sword, but Lady Fifth Headmaster sent me here to answer your questions. She specifically said that, if you were to find out that we were onto you and your team, for me to just answer all your questions, as long as you answer hers. He stated plainly. Titania was shocked, but there was a catch. She didn't have all the answers to all of Master Makarov's inquiries. I think it would be best if Master Makarov were to meet your guildmaster personally. The sixth headmaster appeared to be somewhat taken aback when he heard this. I guess you're right, Lady Hookage does have more questions that she wants to be answered. He rested his head on the shelf. Well, how about this? I'll ask her if it's alright if she meets your guildmaster in person for a drink, if she says yes. You send one of your teammates to ask him if he wants to meet the Hookage. If he says yes, then they'll be able to talk it out. Sound like a plan? How do I know if you're actually trying to ambush him? Urza gasped. How do I know if you're actually here to kill everyone in the forest in town? So basically you want me to just take this chance and see what happens. Yes, but I'm also sticking my neck out as well. So is it a deal or not? I expect them to meet up on Saturday. Urza left the store while the sixth headmaster looked on. He exhaled deeply after the moment was past. If I didn't know better I'd say that she was Kushina. But she died years ago. He was thinking. After purchasing the sword at the register, he started walking toward his deathbed. The moonwalking Chibiak Umaru and Plu are the ones that purchased you this little skip. No? Snarled the fifth headmaster. The sixth headmaster countered, you know you have to, it's for the best. When the Hokage slammed her fist against her desk, it crumbled into firewood. How do you know they're not really trying to have a guild war? It's bad enough that we have to deal with the fact that a dark guild is plotting against us, but this? She exclaimed. Calm down, I doubt that they'll do something like that. Besides you had Shino send his insects all over Terra, there's no way that fairy tale can even touch you without us knowing. She moaned as she sagged against the wall. After giving it some thinking, she concluded, okay. This Saturday. And he better show up. There was a pause before someone knocked on the door. Come in, snarled the fifth headmaster. Shino trembled, why? You summoned me. According to the Hokage, yes, now come in. Urza sat on her bed, knowing that she would have to wait for Lucy to arrive at the hotel. However, her only thought was that she didn't feel the presence of the sixth headmaster. Nobody is capable of such cunning. She didn't sense his magic, hear his breathing or his footfall. He appeared to be a ghost. She kept thinking about how he claimed to utilize copycat magic, and that he only possessed a small number of truly original spells. To Titania's relief, her pals were there when she heard the door open. She made them sit down and explained the sixth headmaster, and the intention to meet with both guildmasters. Are you kidding me? Said Natsu. Were you seriously telling me that you want Gramps meet this fifth headmaster woman? I have to agree with Natsu, Grace said. Shino and some guy named Choji told us that fifth headmaster has one hell of a temper. Some kid named Sora tried to meet her, and he apparently got thrown out of her office not even a second after he had walked in. I don't think it's a good idea. Lucy groaned, sorry guys, but I agree with Urza. Natsu and Grace said, what? In shock. Well, you see. Backward. Lucy, who had flew out to his sister, gazed about the library. The inquiry was further complicated by the fact that she could locate no records of the Dark Guild in Terra. She had been there almost an hour. She sighed as she peered down and saw that Plu had vanished from view. She was aware that Plu was not in the celestial spirit world, because he had enough magic to last him for another hour or so. Silently, she exclaimed, Plu. Where are you, Plu? The weary voice said, pardon me, but would this summon be yours? She turned to see a boy with long black hair pulled in a high ponytail who appeared exhausted. He was dressed in black slacks, black sandals, and a black long-sleeved shirt with a quilted green vest over it. There was a metal plate with the Dark Guild's emblem, Hyde Ninja Village, on his left sleeve. Even though Lucy was terrified, she felt a little relieved that he had Plu in his arms. She grinned and said, yes. Thanks you. It interrupted my game of shogi with my friend Ichi, he added, passing the small white celestial spirit to her. Oh, sorry. Nara Shadow Ninja. Lucy heard Philia. She gave him a handshake. She couldn't help but wonder, what have I gotten myself into? I'm in the same building with two of the most recognized dark wizards of Hyde Ninja Village. She inquired, so what's shogi? As he led her to this enigmatic game, the Shadow Ninja continued in a somewhat bored tone, oh, let me show you, it's a pretty cool game. It's a lot like chess, even has similar pieces. They soon arrived at the table where a boy with long brown hair, who appeared to be blind, was waiting. He was dressed in a white robe, black sandals, and white slacks. Additionally, he wore a brown headband bearing the Hyde Ninja Village emblem. That is Niji Hyuga. Lucy pondered, he doesn't look like he could take down anyone. He is blind. Or maybe he uses visual magic. I see you found the owner to the summon. The brunette said, turning to face the Shadow Ninja. Yeah, she wanted to know what shogi was, so I thought it would be okay to let her see it for herself. Shadow Ninja said, Lucy, this is Hyuga Niji. Niji, this is her Philia Lucy. Niji said, nice to meet you, grinning a little. Likewise, Lucy returned the smile. However, a girl with green eyes and pink hair raced up to them before the game started. She nearly looked like Natsu to Lucy. Niji? The girl nearly yelled. Hinata was attacked. What? Niji appeared to have been nearly shot in the heart. Who attacked her? It was a dark mage from the same guild as the one who attacked you, Dark Guild. Red Griffin. The Pincat said. How is she? Is she okay? Inquired the Shadow Ninja. She's fine, only a few bruises. I can't say the same for the dark mage though, the girl with pink hair said. Naruto gave him a beating that he would never forget. I'm surprised that he even survived. After all, Naruto was going to ask her out, finally, and Hinata was training. And you put two and two together. She was tired out from training when she was attacked, and Naruto was going to meet her at the training grounds. He saw her being attacked, and the dark mage met an unlucky fate. Niji murmured as he gripped his "this means war." The pink cat looked to Lucy and said, "Who is she?" That is exactly what Lady Fifth Headmaster said. Red Griffin doesn't know who they're picking a fight with, and they will learn the hard way. Shadow Ninja identified herself as Lucy. This is Haruno Sakura. This is her filial Lucy. The pink cat responded, somewhat disbelieving. Wait, you said her filial Lucy? I've heard of you, you're from the Wizards Guild. Fairy Tale, correct? She asked. Lucy said, yup, that's me, feeling a little pleased that someone had finally noticed her, and that she was finally gaining recognition. Good, said Sakura. I'm guessing that you have a team and that they're here, right? Yes, why? Replied Lucy. Get them, and meet me in front of the forest at 12:45. I have a feeling we're going to need your help. Sakura responded, come on, we can't keep Lady Fifth Headmaster waiting. If they care so much about their members, then their guild master shouldn't be all that bad, Lucy said with a smile and a scratch on the back of her head. Happy, Natsu, and Gray exchanged glances. Wait, Natsu, do you remember when that guy Choji came and got Shino? The Ice Mage realized abruptly. Yeah, he said that their Hokage had summoned him. Why? Stated Natsu, who appeared perplexed but understood. With a pinch of his forehead and his sigh, Gray said, and you remember how before Choji came, Shino was about to tell us what Hyde Ninja Village really was. Natsu recalled, but he was still not understanding the message. If we help Hyde Ninja Village, you can meet this Sakura chick, and we'll be able to meet the rest of Dark Mages, and get all the information we need. Oh? Grinned Natsu. The matter was resolved, but their preparations were interrupted by a tap on the door. The room was so quiet that it seemed like a cemetery with no people in it. Makarov's office was here. Every second he worries more. How did they fare? What did they discover? How are they doing? What is Terra's condition? With whom are they there? What's happening? Has Sakura met Natsu? Those were only some of the questions circling around in his head. To be safe, he had been considering sending a different squad, but he was aware that squad Natsu was among the best in Fairy Tale, if not the best. Oh, but everyone is so careless. Despite its might, his guild has a reputation for being careless. On the other hand, Dark Guild. Hyde Ninja Village is renowned for its near-perfect precision in addition to its strength. This is one of the reasons they are so well known and cause such fear. The other is that, like the Dark Mage Kiba Inuzuka and his dog Akimaru, they also have a few irresponsible members, like the notorious spell Fang over Fang. Makarov feared that spell. Gadgil and Urza would be severely outclassed if it could pass through solid steel. They are among the few mages who genuinely challenge Natsu, after all. Since both Gadgil and Urza are renowned for their armor, they will have significant difficulties if it is damaged. If Kiba and Akimaru are able to utilize their spell to pass through steel, then Gadgil and Urza won't pose a threat to them. Makarov was concerned about more than that, though. It was a potential. He must have a spell that is at least twice as strong as Kiba's and Akimaru's, as they were able to use it so frequently as if it were routine. The knock on the door instantly broke the old wizard's train of thought. Come in, he cried, and to his astonishment, Mirajane was there. As she walked to his desk, she carried a sizable packet at her bosom and said, Master, a messenger from the Wizard Council told me to give this to you. He started to open the envelope as soon as he got it, but his heart briefly stopped when he saw what was inside because his blood became cold. More details about the Dark Mages of Hyde Ninja Village were contained in the file. What is it? Inquired the teen with white hair. Makarov lied and said, and nothing, just some paperwork. I know you're lying, Mirajane groaned. Tell me what it is. It has to deal with the Dark Guild and Terra. The elderly sorcerer said, meeting her gaze. What? Her white eyes asked. There's some more files that tell about the few wizards that are known to be in that guild. He continued. She questioned, may I see? He nodded, even though he knew that denying her would only make things worse. Nabuki was startled awake, her heart pounding as though she had just run a few miles. It was almost like it was about to explode from her chest. Glancing around, she saw that she was the only person in her tent, indicating that Kazashi was outside assisting the others in rebuilding Hyde Ninja Village. She put her palm to her heart. She had a really strange dream, but there were no sounds or voices. She hurried outdoors after getting ready. The sun was shining brightly, and the sky was clear, in contrast to how she felt. The kids were having a great time playing as though nothing was wrong. To her relief, she noticed that there were less ninjas at the construction site, and they were searching for Sakura and the other kids, including the Hokage. She took a seat by a tree close to the settlement. Her mind was racing with ideas. An all too familiar voice cried out, Hey Nabuki. It was Ashino Nar, another allied Mother's Force member. As soon as the brunette approached her, she could see Nabuki was upset. Are you okay? She asked. No? The blonde said, shaking her head. Ishino speculated, you're worried about Sakura, aren't you? Nabuki said, not only her. Do you remember my son, Sanchao? Yeah, he disappeared during the attack of the Nine Tails, what about him? Nabuki exhaled. My heart says that he is where Sakura is. But, it's been so long I know they're both alive. But how can I know for sure? I see, Ishino replied. You've been feeling like this for a while, haven't you? Yes. But that's not it. I had a strange dream. I think it's about them. Yoshino's eyebrow went up. Oh, tell me about it. Well, it starts off with a boy that looks a lot like Sancho, but he looks to be the age that Sancho would be if he were here today. He was walking around a small village, and he was accompanied by a flying blue cat. The cat got scared off by Akumaru, who I have no idea as how he got there, but the boy didn't even seem fazed by it, and continued to walking. The boy then went into a hospital, and got into a conversation with the nurses. That's the nurses said something, and the boy was shocked at what they said after that. He walked out of the hospital, and he seemed to have something on his mind after that. I have no idea what was being said. The voices and noise was completely silenced in my dream. If I try to remember, I can't read their lips. Well, maybe we can have Inoichi check your memories and see if he can find out what was being said in that dream of yours, Yoshino pondered after hearing her fellow mother's statement. Nobuki grinned, but it quickly vanished as she said, "That's a good idea. I'm worried about them. I'm so worried about Lady Hokage and the kids." Yoshino replied, "I am too. But in this situation all we can really do is hope for the best." Looking at his transition lacrima, Fuwa muttered, "Oh, how boringt. Hope for the best. Hope for the best, T. Is it the best you can come up with?" Cutting the magic flow, he retrieved his typical Grim Reaper scythe, and flew up close to the cave's top, using it as a magic broomstick. He was able to lay down on the broom without fear of falling off because of the way he employed magic. He'd been the only wizard to combine wind and air space magic, which he preferred to refer to as wind space. I sometimes wonder how is it that mothers can be so dramatic. Actually scratch that, girls. How can girls be so dramatic? He did not specifically question anyone. He turned to see that he was still by himself. A sad sigh escaped his lips. In fact, he was far from a sucker for melancholy. He had too much energy and not enough time, and he was always a happy youngster. In one way or another, he would always think of scenarios and question people about them. However, that was only one aspect of his character. He never considered himself harsh, nor did he ever treat anyone cruelly. No, not in the least bit. But he might be if provoked. He saw himself as the good man and thought he was normal, yet, in addition to saying T at the end of every other phrase, he had a penchant of overanalyzing everything. The person nearest to him would usually call his attention to it and persuade him to stop. However, she was no longer with him. She had abandoned him after he frightened her away. He really missed her. He dug into his pocket and took out 2 images of the one person who would ever understand him, as his memories of the past became more intense. His sister. The first featured him and his sister as children, while the second featured his sister with 2 unappreciative boys. How he envied them and hated them at the same time. He hates them since those 2 idiots asked his sister out, and he envied them because they get to spend time with her. He would have kicked both of their asses so severely that they would have wished they had never been born, so they're glad he wasn't there when they did. Fuwa, however, is not allowed to be close to his sister because he scared her away when she was 11 years old, and he was certain that she still despises him to this day. However, as her older brother, it is his responsibility to see her again and ensure her safety. And bringing Fairy Tail here and turning her become a hero is his first act as her big brother. His purpose for being here is to fulfill her dreams. Ultimately, she informed him that it was her dream. He examined the 2 images closely. His sister was a small, skinny teenage girl who was rather young and short for her age. Her eyes were hazel, and her hair was sky blue and shoulder length. Lucky. Rewind. The season was midsummer. The sun was shining and the heat was almost intolerable outside, but thanks to the lovely air conditioner in a modest house in a small village in the kingdom of Fiori, 8-year-old, Fuwa was able to be nice and cool as he was reading a big, wordy book on wind magic. It was a good life. Abruptly, someone knocked on his door. "Coming," he cried to them. He was startled to discover his 7-year-old sister waiting at his door in her swimsuit when he opened it. His little sister cried out, "Chuwa, come outside and play with me." Fuwa moaned, "Buki, it's too hot." Since it wasn't her fault that she couldn't pronounce his name till she was 5, he never objected to his moniker. "Don't call me Buki, you're more of a bookworm than I am." She slammed one foot against the carpeted floor and sighed. With a little laugh, he said, "Okay, book whoops, I mean Levy." Levy gave him a fierce look since she realized he intentionally fumbled over his words. Fuwa merely gave her a smile. He turned away from her and said, "Well, since you're not going to persuade me to do whatever it is that you wanted me to do, I'm going to go continue reading." Before he felt icy water thrown at him. He was completely drenched. He turned slowly and saw Levy laughing at him. She ran away after sticking her tongue out at him when she noticed he was staring at her. "Oh, you're gonna get it now," Fuwa yelled as he started to chase after her. The 2 were on a tiled floor during the chase when the older brother, who was drenched, slid against the wall, face first, making the younger sister laugh. Levy was in a deep kiddie pool wearing her tiny lime green floaty when the chase resumed, and the next thing he knew, he was outside. She was grinning at him. 1 point for Levy. 0 points for Chowa. With a grimace, he said, "You got me good." Yup. He loved his sister dearly, but occasionally wished he had a younger brother instead. "I'll go put on my swim trunks." Before long, he and his younger sister were outdoors in the pool. Under the water, he was utilizing his wind magic to create a current that would allow Levi to move around the pool without any effort on his part. She kept saying "we" as the water pushed her. With a curious tone, she said, "Hey Chowa. Yeah? You're really good at magic, when are you going to join a guild?" she inquired. He hummed, I never really thought about it." "Well then why do you study magic, if you're not going to join a guild?" she gasped. He smiled and said, "To protect you of course." "Protect me? Why would you need to protect me?" she asked, startled by the response. "As like you were a knight in gleaming armor," he declared, "you're my little sister, and I vowed to protect you whether you like it or not. Then as your little sister, I'm going to protect you. I mean it, and I'm going to become a hero. I'll prove it to you, I'm going to join the best guild in all of Fiore." "Fairy tale," Levi said with a determined expression on her face. As he halted the current, he smirked and challenged, "Okay then, what kind of magic are you going to use?" She started thinking, "I don't know," as she looked up. Then he thought, "Well, how about solid script?" She gave him a questioning look and explained that it's a kind of magic that employs both words and movements. For example, if you say fire, the word fire will emerge and shoot flames at your opponent. "Really?" she exclaimed happily. "Yeah, I read about it. And it really suits you." "Bookie." Levi sprayed his face with water. "I'll show you a bookworm. I'll become the greatest solid script wizard in all of Fiore, and you'll be the one who needs protecting." "Whatever you say." He hit her back with a splash. Before long, both of them were very wet. Fua's heart ached. She was correct, she is a brilliant mage, and even though she avoids conflict, she is gradually learning to be forceful in it. He wasn't insane. He was going to see to it that she achieved her goals and became a hero. His only goal was to be a decent big brother. That's all, even if he needs to con a few others into agreeing to his scheme. Although he felt guilty about sending Natsu to another planet, he realized that, in the end, he had done the right thing, even if it meant upsetting one miserable family. However, he is making amends, even if it means exposing a whole community, and allowing some magic to seep into this realm of ninjas. The thought crossed his mind, it's all for Bookie. For Levi. All of this he was doing for her. And only her. When Shino was called to the 5th headmaster's office, he sat on top of the headquarters where he, the 5th headmaster, and their friends were staying, thinking back on what had happened. Her way or the highway, no other option, just finish the assignment. It felt like someone was talking her down like they would a child. It was a straightforward command, but the sense of dread that was consuming him was depleting his vitality. The 5th headmaster's frustration was the source of the dread. After a week of being in this weird magical world, she had been that way. She was stressed out from worrying about her shinobi and her villagers, making sure they were all in line, in order, clean, fed, and taken care of. Nobody will ever be able to relieve her back's anguish. If the Aburum gave it some thought, the last time he witnessed her getting a decent night's sleep was something like 5 days ago. He let out a sigh. On his finger, he clutched a mosquito. He required her for a portion of his objective, but the female beetle glared at him. She needed the blood's protein to build her eggs. In order for 5th headmaster to conduct the first portion of the test and determine whether he was indeed Sanshao, he needed her to obtain blood from Dragneel. The Hokage will have relatively few white blood cells to deal with in order to extract DNA and determine whether they match Sakura's, because the blood sample would be so little. In order to provide the cage more resources, Shino will need to get the fairy tale team to the hideout and persuade Natsu to voluntarily provide them with a blood sample. Since the 5th headmaster has been tending to Hinata's injuries from the recent attack and making sure that everyone was ready for their guild war, Sakura and Ino will be conducting the tests when the mages arrive. After giving the bug instructions and sending her off to collect the blood, the Aburum promised to let her do whatever she wanted. He said, "Hey Shino," and saw Kiba and Akimare. "Lady Hokage's stress boiled on top of you, didn't it?" He then sat down next to him with his animal nin. "She gave this feeling, that she was about to kill me," the insect user said, nodding. "She told me about that Dragneel person, and I thought, yikes. Well, on a lighter note, do you really think that? Well, you know that he really is Sanshao. Well, if you were to have seen the way he was about to attack Fullbuster, you would have thought it was Sakura about to attack Sire Naruto," Shino reflected, recalling the moment he first saw Natsu. Kiba's eyes were wide. "They're that much alike?" she asked. "It was the way he raised his fist. You and I both know how Sakura raises hers when she's mad. He did the exact same thing. Even the grit teeth and wild look in her eyes thing that she does. Aha. Damn. I don't even want to know what he's like when he's full-blown pissed off." Kiba grumbled. "I mean, 5th headmaster told me that he is a fire user, so. He's a fire dragon slayer." With his eyes as big as saucers, Kiba said, "Wait, what? Dragons? You can't be serious." "I thought it was metaphorical as well. I did some research, and no. It's not metaphorical. They do exist, they disappeared a long time ago. If I were to take a guess, it would be when we were still in the academy, when the dragons flew off somewhere. Shino continued, also apparently, dragon slayers are children that were raised by dragons. That means that Natsu was raised by a dragon throughout his life. The Inizuka sat there, gritting its teeth and wide-eyed. As if it were a single instant, the two boys and the dog passed past. Kiba made an effort to comprehend the material. Every second that I'm in this world I feel more out of place than I already am. You should have seen the way they looked at me when I used my insects to stop Dragneel from attacking Grey. They all looked at me the way we did to Gaara during the Chunin exams. As if I were a monster. Shino muttered, seeing one of his beetles scuttling around his fingers. Kiba's eyebrows wrinkled. Damn. It seems like we just can't get a break. No matter what we do. But the big question is, if we do find a way to get back, and if Dragneel really is Sakura's brother, what'll he do? Shrugged. That will be up to him. If he wants to meet his family, that is choice. But the thing is, all his life he has lived in this world, it's all he knows. If he comes back to our world he'll have to adapt to it. But that brings up another question. What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't come to our world? If he does, what if he doesn't adapt? I know I wouldn't be able to. But there is one thing I can decide. Kiba said with a smile before it vanished. Well, it's up to him to decide. Shino said, oh, and what's that? With a fiery smile, Kiba declared that I'm going to kick Sai's ass straight to hell. Facepalmed by Shino, he'll never let you and Sakura live it down, and you'll never be able to beat an Anbu Black Op. Just be glad you got him to laugh for once in his life. No? I refuse. If Sakura and Ino are able to punch his lights out, then so can I. I will not allow him to keep calling me and Sakura the pink puppy couple. Kiba yelled. And you're helping me kick his ass. I am not getting involved in a problem you created. Shino looked at him. The bug sat on Shino's hand and interrupted the discourse. He had dispatched that same insect to obtain the blood 5th headmaster required. Shino then stood up and motioned for Kiba to accompany him in carrying the blood to the Hokage.